Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and 4 quick and easy cards using supplies from the Simon Says Stamp STAMPtember card kit that was released very early this morning. If you're watching this video at a later date, and more than likely this kit is sold out, I do have links to everything separately as well. So for my first 2 cards, I used basically just some of the different stickers from the kit. I really loved these carousel puffy word stickers. I just thought they were gorgeous. So the large love you will not fit across a standard like A2 size card. You could probably manipulate it a bit because it's very bendy, but I liked how it looked kind of on an angle. So I just put that onto a piece of Audrey blue cardstock. It's already cut down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I used the largest of the A2, or the largest of the Simon Says basic rectangle dies. And then there's these gorgeous floral stickers in one of the packs, and some of them are foiled and they're beautiful. So I popped a bunch of those on, and some of them I popped up with foam tape. It just gave it that little bit of extra dimension and just a little something. So some I popped up with foam tape, some I just kind of tucked underneath. And then on the inside of the card, which is a Simon Says 120-pound white folded A2 note card, I just stuck a couple more of the stickers. So now I'm going to adhere this panel to my card front, and it's going to completely cover the front of this card. And then I'm going to go on and do my second card. So these were super quick and easy. So for my second card, I'm going to go right onto the card itself, another folded note card here. And there's these washi stickers. They're washi in the sense that they're thin, but they have almost like a softness to them. They're not full on, velvet or flocked or anything, but they're soft. They're neat. So I really like this wide floral one. So I stuck that directly onto my card base, and then I just trimmed off the little bits that were hanging off the side. And I'm going to adhere that second puffy, gold foiled word here. And then same thing, I still had all these stickers, these floral stickers, they all coordinate and stuff. So same thing, I popped a bunch of them up popped one up with foam tape, and then stuck other ones randomly here and there to kind of peek out from behind the foiled one and underneath the word and all that kind of stuff. And then that great big gorgeous one, it almost pained me to use it, but it's so pretty. I stuck that on the inside of the card since I decided not to stamp any sentiments or anything. So I just stuck that gorgeous thing, but that would look gorgeous on like a more clean and simple card front, with a sentiment. It would look fabulous. So stuck those on, and I was going to leave them as is just because, quick, clean, simple. But I am absolutely obsessed with my Tonic Nouveau drops lately. I can't stop. I really can't stop. So I, jazz these up a lot, whatever, with a ton of little drops. That's what I'm the most obsessed about with these, is I can make them any size I want. So I added tons of them, but some of them are just little teeny tiny, like just the littlest bit of a dab. So I used, on the Audrey blue card front here, I used gloss white, bright gold, and carnation pink, and just stuck tons of them on there. And then I'm going to have to set that aside to dry. And then on the dream card, I used midnight sky glitter drops, Caribbean ocean, and bright gold. So just squeezing them and adding just different sizes in different areas, and then adding the teeniest, littlest, tiniest dabs, and then set these aside to completely dry. So that's one way to use these, stickers and elements and everything else to create really fun, just simple cards. When you need a card in a rush, this is great. So for my second set of cards, I guess, my third and fourth cards, I used the Simon Says stamp set that comes in the card kit. This is the Dream Come True stamp set. You also get a piece of Canson XL watercolor paper, so that's what I decided to use. So I figured I could fit both of the main images on this set onto this watercolor paper, and then be able to die cut them with one of the smaller rectangles from the basic rectangles die set. So I'm inking up the stamps with Simon Says Stamps Intense Black ink, and then using my Mini Misty to stamp it multiple times because watercolor paper is slightly textured. And then I'm using this Molotow marker, again, comes in the kit. I'm using it for the first time. I've never used this type of masking fluid, and I've never used this specific type of marker. And at first I thought I would have to squeeze it onto the acrylic block like I did there, because I thought I might have to pick it up with my little brush and paint. onto the more kind of little detail areas of this, but I found I was able to mask off even the detailed areas with this thicker brush. So one thing I did discover though when using this is you want to apply it thin, like really thin. I applied it way too thick. I'm used to other types of masking fluids, and that's just, you know, habit to a degree, but you definitely, really all masking fluids, you want to apply thin. My heavy hand has a hard time. So I noticed it works way better. You apply just a really thin amount and then you just let it dry. It doesn't take very long to dry. So I completely coated both of those images, let it dry, and then that rectangle that I'm going to use to die cut these, I lined it up how it's going to die cut, and then just traced around the perimeter with a pencil just to give me a little bit of a visual guide, because I wanted to keep these together just for convenience sake while I watercolored them. And my watercoloring, again, really basic, really simple. I was just kind of playing around and more experimenting like with this masking fluid, etc. So I just pulled out my Canson watercolors and just did some really simple coloring. So I just did a blue, and then I'm going to do a green for the ground around the little castle there. Nothing too fancy. One of the great things about using a masking fluid is it just saves the headache of having to go around the outlines of the images and trying not to go over the lines when doing just a simple background. It takes way longer and it's just finicky and annoying, whereas this way you just paint on the watercolor and you're good to go. So I did that, let it dry completely, and then most of this just comes off really easily with just rubbing your finger against it. I did use an adhesive remover eraser sometimes too, and just the little spots that probably weren't completely dry because I applied it so thick, but got it all removed, and then continued on with my Canson to watercolor these in with just a small, this is just a little Ranger brush. So I've super sped this up, but like I said, I didn't do anything too groundbreaking. I was literally just picking up the color and applying it. I didn't do really any blending or any layering or anything like that. Mostly because, as usual too, I was running behind like a crazy person. And I wanted to get these cards up before the kit sells out completely. So I just went along and filled in all the little areas and then would wipe off my brush. Sometimes I would mix the color on. I'm just literally using a little acrylic stamping block as my palette, you know, mixing up the colors there. For the gray of the castle, I mixed the black Canson with a little bit of the white just to make it a little more gray, just keeping it all simple. So once everything was done and it's completely dry, I went in with just my white gel pen just to add some highlights to all the different areas. It just gives it that little extra something since I am keeping everything so simple. So added those little highlights, and then for the little castle walls, I just added a whole bunch of little white dots just to kind of give it that little bit of texture, you know, make it look a little more like stone. Just added a bunch of fun little white dots. Once I'm done with all of that and it's dry, I'm going to tape the rectangle die into place and then run that through twice through my Big Shot machine so I can die cut both of these. And then I die cut some of the pattern paper from that Pebbles pack that comes in the kit, the little Hooray birthday pack, and I die cut some of that with one of the second largest basic rectangle dies, and then I trimmed down some colors of cardstock to be slightly larger than the pattern paper, and then a different color to be slightly larger than that main image there. So I adhered everything together with my ATG adhesive, and then the main images I'm going to pop up with some foam tape just to give it that little extra bit of dimension. And then for the inside of my card, I'm using the sentiments, two of the big main sentiments here that come in that Dream Come True stamp set, along with two of the smaller companion sentiments. So I trimmed down some colors of cardstock, the same colors I used on the front of the cards. And then I'm going to line this up in my MISTI so that I can line up the main part of the sentiment and then the smaller little companion one, because of course you can build different sentiments depending on who you're sending your card to. So got those lined up in my MISTI, and then I'm going to stamp those with that same intense black ink. So stamping them probably a good couple times because they're brand new stamps, so sometimes they don't take ink perfectly the first time around. So got that stamped, did that to both pieces with different sentiments, and then I trimmed down the remaining bit of pattern paper that I had used on the front of these cards. So I had a long strip left over, so I'm going to apply all my adhesive to the back of these. And then I'm going to apply adhesive to my strips of pattern paper here. And then I'm going to adhere all of this to the insides of my cards, making sure I'm using the coordinating sentiment with the pattern paper that coordinates with the ones I used for the card front. So I adhered my pattern paper and then lined up the colored cardstock with the sentiment on the bottom of the card. And I'm going to flip that over and trim off the little bit that's hanging over with my scissors so everything's lined up. And then do that process again for card number 2. Get everything lined up, flip over the card front, trim off the excess, and then I can adhere the card fronts again, making sure I match up the card front with the inside because I wanted a specific sentiment and specific pattern paper for each one. So just applying adhesive around the perimeter of my card fronts, and then I can line those up onto the card bases, and that's going to finish off my cards. So like I said, 4 really quick and simple cards using all of these different elements from this STAMPtember card kit. Everything is available separately for purchase as well. I will have links to all of that. I'll have a link to the kit, which right now is still available, but all their limited edition kits sell out within usually a couple days. All the individual items will be linked as well, so check out the description box below the video as well as on my blog. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye!